Hey guys, so today I wanted to show you how I'm pruning my roses, and this is something I learned from a lot of gardeners. If you ask sometimes your gardener, in most cases they're not gonna tell you anything. And I was told when I was young something else that is not actually true, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. They said, hey, this is spent bloom, just break this and the rose is gonna bloom again, and that's not the case. So you need to look for the first 5 leaves. I'm gonna check if I have something right now. The first 5 leaves on the spent flower. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna count here and I'm gonna come back here. Okay. So I'm gonna explain to you. So the way the rose is, you gotta cut below the first 5 leaves. So here we have the first are 3, so we cannot cut below because it's only 3. This one is 4, we cannot cut. So this is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you cut below the 5th leaf. The 5th leaf. So when you cut below the 5th leaf, it seems like you're helping the rose to kind of bloom more. If you cut in the wrong places, I feel like you're not gonna kill the rose. Don't get me wrong. You're never gonna kill the rose. It's just you're not gonna have that much bloom. So let's go with this one. So here's the thing. When you have rose like this that has 3 blooms, obviously I'm not gonna look for the 5th leaf. I'm just gonna remove this spent flower, and then when those die, then I'm gonna look for the 5th leaf. So what else do we have here? I don't think we have much spent flowers here, so I'm gonna move to another rose to show you more. So now we can have a rose that I just removed the top a couple minutes ago, but we're counting 3 leaves. So we have 3 here, we have 5 here. So after you count 5 leaves, you can cut it here or here. So in this case, I'm gonna cut it a little bit lower because if something comes out of here, it's gonna be a very weak branch, and I feel it's gonna interrupt just the rose. So I'm gonna cut it somewhere lower, and then we're gonna have like a stronger stem. That's how I feel like it. It might be the wrong way, but that's how I have always done it, and I think it has been successful. Otherwise, if you cut it, you can see how like those are kind of a little bit weak, and they're getting heavy when the blooms are open, and then I have to kind of find support. So I feel like it's very important to have a strong foundation. And also don't forget that those roses are first year. I got them from David Austin, and they were just roots, and then I planted them. So this is their first year. Now speaking of rose support, I had to put those sticks underneath so they can support those blooms because they were heavy. You can see when I do like my iceberg roses, you see that you have a lot of blooms. If I have 1 or 2 flowers that are spent and they're like kind of dead, I usually will cut just the flowers until everything is kind of dead. I don't want to like miss on blooms just because one flower is kind of, I'll show you here. So let's just say this one is kind of done. And then, oh my gosh, I found a beetle, and I don't like this. And so I'm gonna leave those. There's another one here. I'm just cutting this, and then I leave the rest to kind of do its job. Unless everything is kind of done, I'm throwing them down on the floor, and on the ground, and then I gotta pick it up, but just for the sake of the video. So this one is done. So with this one, I'm gonna count 5 or sometimes lower, just because it's kind of loopy or whatever you want to call it. So you can see the leaves to me are indicating that something is missing. So I decided instead of like counting only 5 and cutting it here, to cut it a little bit lower to remove all those leaves. Plus it makes the plant stronger because those are way too tall. Some of them are way too tall, and because I want the foundation to be strong. That's what I do with my iceberg roses. So now I'm gonna do the same thing with the Eden Climber. I'm not sure what you can see on the video, but like, let's just say this flower is spent, and I just go below the 5th leaf. The blooms are right next to the 5th leaf, so it's kind of, you're not gonna cut too much because it's a climbing rose. And if you wanna kind of make it go all the way up the arch, or whether it's a fence or whatever, makes it easier. This is the first year it's blooming that much, and I'm super excited, and I can't wait for the next April. You gotta spray when it needs to be sprayed. Ouch. Don't ask me why I don't have gloves. This is my favorite thing to do without gloves. No, just kidding. I have a video that is going to be coming up soon about issues I had taking care of the roses without gloves. And even though I had major issues, I'm still doing it. Okay, so this is also Italian ice, and I do like to remove the spent flowers. You don't have to, but I feel like it's definitely promoting like more growth, and I like to do that because I want to see my flowers blooming. If I'm gonna be taking care of something, I want to see it blooming literally all the time, which it doesn't really happen, but for the most part, like for the whole season, I rather have that. I don't know what else I can tell you guys about the roses. I'm learning as everybody else is learning, and I don't think I know it all. I don't think I'll ever know it all because there's so many things coming up, new flowers, new predators for the plants, and we're constantly like learning something. But I do believe that if you want to learn something, you just have to start doing it and try it, and don't let others telling you that you cannot, because I wasn't able to do anything before. I wasn't able even to take care of one plant of tomato because I planted it in the mud, no watering, nothing. It was, yeah. And now I feel like I proved myself right, that like I can literally do anything. So this is the video about the roses. I hope like you kind of learn something, and if I'm not doing it right, that's okay. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm a beginner gardener. You've seen my garden. I think I'm doing probably something right. So make sure that you are buying roses that are less prone to diseases. Usually there's some of those. When I was buying roses at the beginning, I was just buying whatever I liked, and now I'm stuck because I'm not gonna throw the roses just because some are not disease prone. And the David Austin's roses, this is my first year with them. I'm gonna see how it goes. So far I'm loving everything about them, but honestly, like, it seems like every rose has its own beauty, and whether it's the scent, whether it's the blooms, whether it's whatever that is. That's why I have a tree kind of rose, and I have a climbing rose that is the hidden climber. I have the shrub looking, the also easy Italian ice, which definitely it's also easy Italian ice is probably way easier rose and more it's in a healthier side compared to the iceberg roses. That's how I felt. But don't forget that I mentioned in my previous video that I found this this solution for the aphids, and I've been super happy, and I have no aphids this year, and I'm gonna try to link it below. If not, just go to my other videos that it say how I treat aphids. As when it comes to the beetles, that's another story. I have issues this year with the beetles, but still I have beautiful blooms. Another thing I wanted to mention is don't ever water your roses from the top and the leaves. They don't like that, and there's a lot of diseases that are happening if you do this. Every gardening center, if you tell them that you have some issues with the roses, the first thing they're gonna ask you is like if you're using the water and you're watering the leaves and the flowers. So in general, honestly, like, all the plants prefer like the roots to be watered, but not like everything else, because sometimes if you spray with something and you water it on top, it washes it out, and you're wondering why it's not working, and that's one of the reasons. Fertilize your roses at the beginning of the season, prune them, mid-season also fertilize them. Our season is very long, so I know that like in a month or so I will have another set of fertilizer for the roses, because our blooms can go to the fall even later, just because it's warm in Sacramento, zone 9B. And this is pretty much it. If I figure out something else, I can create another video, but this is it. So hopefully this time the video is gonna work and I don't have to record it again on something else, because now I'm using my camera. Before I was using the GoPro. I think with my iPhone I've been more successful than with anything else. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.